Hello, my name's Andrew Bowman. I'm a history teacher at King Edward VI School, Lichfield, and I'm going to try and sell you the idea of this particular novel, Dominion. It's a weighty tome, so there's a lot to it. It's written by CJ Sansom, who's perhaps more known for writing Tudor mysteries, but I quite like this one because I love counterfactual history, and it takes an alternate view of the Great War. The essential premise of the book is that after Dunkirk in 1940, we surrendered to the Nazis, which was entirely a possibility at that time. And this book is set 12 years later in 1952, and the Nazis effectively are ruling Britain as the Dominion of Germany. The book follows a guy called Frank Muncaster, who has found a secret that could change the balance of what's been happening. And he's been pursued by a Gestapo man through the sort of London streets. This is coupled in with the 1952 Great Smog, which was another famous event which happened in London at that time, with the pollution. Eventually led to the Clean Air Act, actually, but the pollution and the sort of thick smogs where you literally could not see a hand in front of your face adds a touch of mystery to the whole story. Essentially, the resistance, led by Churchill, are trying to turn the tide against the Nazis in Britain, and this is the story of how they tried to get the secrets away to America. The denouement arrives at the seafront near Brighton, and I won't sort of give that part of it away. What I like about it is some of the images that it creates, particularly in the early part of the book. There are two bits that really stick with me. One is 1952, the young Queen Elizabeth travelling in a German staff car with Rommel to the cenotaph for the Remembrance Service. Hitler at this point has got Parkinson's disease and is not doing ceremonial events. And the other thing that sort of strikes a real tone is the rounding up of Jews, which is carrying on under the auspices of the British authorities to be sent to death camps. Again, this idea of counterfactual history, what might have been, I always find is fascinating. And it's a good story in its own right, a great thriller, set against the context, as I say, of this mysterious, brooding London that you can't see. And I highly recommend it. You don't have to be interested in history. It's a good thriller in its own right, but I think it paints a very scary picture of a world that so very nearly was in 1940. Thank you for listening.
Hi, the novel I would like to recommend is called Shantaram. It's a debut novel by an Australian author, but please don't hold that against the book. And his name is Gregory David Roberts. It's part autobiography and part fiction. It's based on 10 years that the author did actually spend in India, having escaped an Australian prison where he was there for robbery and armed robbery. The 10 years he spent in India were in the city of Mumbai, where he is introduced to two different halves of the city. First, the upper middle class part of the city life, where he is introduced into the expat community by a local taxi driver called Prabhakar, who gives him the nickname Lin Baba. Then, following a mugging in the city, where he ends up destitute, Prabhakar, the taxi driver, takes him to the slums of Mumbai. I recommend this novel for loads of reasons. It shows the fascinating life of one of the largest cities in the world, vibrant city at the upper end and the lower end of the social classes. But it also is filled with such extremes of humour, sadness, and human interaction that are very rare in a lot of novels. It goes very deep, and the final few chapters of the book are very unexpected, and the 10 years in India for Gregory must have been absolutely nothing more than a fabulous roller coaster. Unfortunately, in his real life, after those 10 years, he's recaptured and sent back to Australia. But at least he got to write this book, and I highly recommend it.